What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well. Now, if you're a fan of revenge stories, this is the episode for you. Today, I've got 6 different stories of revenge from r/TraumatizeThemBack, which you're going to love. Let's get straight into it. But before we do, as always, make sure you subscribe to the channel. A lot of you watching right now, over half of you aren't subscribed, which I really do find that quite disrespectful. So it does actually hurt me. And I know I'm kind of waffling here, but it's one of the reasons why I struggle to fall asleep at night. Just knowing that you guys are out there, listening to this, watching this, but you haven't followed or subscribed on whatever platform you're on. It's just hurtful, guys. It just makes me sad. I thought you were better than that. Let's get into the video. I told him I'm gay. I'm a straight male in my 20s, living in an area of Florida that's known for its retiree population, even among Floridians. This is where native Floridians go to retire. As such, there is a disproportionately high number of racist, homophobic, and sexist old people running around my area. I work at a local library, so I have to put up with their abuse on a daily basis. Like I said, I'm straight, and I promise that's relevant. I also wear earrings, like a lot of them, and necklaces, bracelets, and rings. My nose isn't pierced yet, but I'm planning on it soon. Same for tattoos. I've been told that I look like a punk rocker on a permanent Hawaiian vacation. This is not a look that certain people appreciate, but I don't care. Part of the appeal of looking how I do is annoying people who look down on anyone who's other. One morning, a few months back, I was in a grocery store before my morning commute. I was just grabbing a donut and chocolate milk to have a driving breakfast. I'm waiting patiently in line, minding my own business, when a voice from behind me says, "Take that metal out your ears, boy. You look like a homo." I turn around and see an old guy who probably should have died of old age before I was born. Working with the public and dressing in a manner most of them find distasteful, I get this kind of abuse all the time. At work, I can't say or do anything unless they get really rude. But now I finally had a chance and I decided to take advantage of it. My first instinct was to lay into him, but I had to get going and I knew that was the reaction he wanted. So instead, I pretended to misunderstand him. I smiled at him and I said, "Thank you. My boyfriends love it. They think I'm so cute." He didn't respond or leave or anything. He just kind of looked at me with his mouth open. I gave him a big smile and turned away. He didn't say or do anything else, but when I got up to the cashier, he smiled and said, "You do look really cute." I wish I'd turn around to see the boomer's response, but unfortunately, I didn't think to at the time. I think what you did there, OP, is the exact right way to go about this. Just embrace it. Don't give them what they want. Just embrace it. You are the winner here by a mile, making them uncomfortable. If you said, "No, I'm not gay. What are you talking about? These are my earrings," and you rose to his terrible sort of homophobic chat, I think you're right. He would be the one that won there. That's what he wanted. But doing this and saying, "Oh, thank you. Not just my singular boyfriend, but all my boyfriends love them." So good. You are definitely the victor here. Real proud of my comeback to an airplane Karen. I have relatively wide shoulders and was flying middle seat in economy. I was coming back from a work trip on a full flight from New Orleans to Atlanta, about 1.5 hours. About 5 minutes after takeoff, the aisle seat Karen was acting real restless, squirming and sighing and rolling her eyes and scoffing. It was clear it was because I was using the armrest between us. I tried to make as much space as possible for her, but given my size and seat, I couldn't really do much. Then she snapped at me, going off about how nobody is impressed by your muscles. You take up way too much space. No one wants to deal with sitting next to meatheads like you. Blah, blah, blah. So I interrupted her little rant and very politely, but very loudly replied with, "Miss, why don't you simmer down? This is a short flight, and if there's one thing no one wants to deal with, it's a crying child on an airplane." Window seat and folks across the aisle burst out laughing. Karen was beet red and seething for the rest of the flight. Okay, well, there we go. I love seeing a Karen get beat down. You guys know this. Not physically, of course, but yeah, verbally. However, what I will say is this, and this is something that I think everyone should understand. Airplane protocol, seat protocol is such an inherent thing. If you're in the window seat, you have the window. And is there Is there a... Yeah, there is. There is a... Whatever you call it. I'm doing the sign on the screen. But yeah, the armrest. The window armrest. You get. I can't remember if there is a window armrest. I believe there is. That's yours. If you're on the aisle, you get the aisle, right? Which is better than the middle seat. And you get the aisle armrest. That's yours. And if you're in the middle, because you're in the middle, and that's obviously the worst seat, I think that you should therefore have dibs on both middle armrests. Simple as that. So if she's getting annoyed because you've got one of the middle armrests, or your right arm is on the, or whichever way, whichever side you're sitting on, you're taking one of her armrests in her opinion. I think she's just wrong. And just because you go to the gym, that doesn't mean that you have to give up an armrest. Just silly from her. But yeah, great comeback. She asked me when I was due. I told her I was 12 years old. For context, this happened when I was around 16 years old. I've always struggled with severe endometriosis, and an unfortunate side effect of endo is severe bloating or endo belly, usually to the point where I look very pregnant. Even after 2 surgeries, I still get it sometimes at 26 years old. At the time, I was 5'6" and about 100 pounds, so I looked like a pole with a huge bump sticking out. I lived with my parents at the time, which was in a small conservative beach town in Florida. Lots of old judgmental people. Okay, I feel like this might take place with very similar people to the first story. 16-year-old me was walking around Walmart, minding my own business, ironically looking for maternity pants because the bloating gets so bad. A woman, probably in her 50s, walked up to me, placed her hand on my stomach happily, and said, "Oh my God, when are you due? You look amazing. You're so young." Now, this wasn't the first time I've had someone ask me this question, but it was the first time that someone had the audacity to put their hand on my stomach. I stood there for a second, just shocked, and then said, "Oh, I'm not sure. I'm only 12. My mum knows all that stuff about pregnancy." She immediately turned pale, took 3 steps back, and let out a nervous chuckle. I just stared at her, smiling, holding my stomach, as she mumbled something under her breath and walked away. I still try to come up with funny things to say in these situations because it still happens today. No one's ever put their hand on my stomach since that day, but I have been asked when I'm due so many times. If anyone has any good responses to this I could use as a 26-year-old, please let me know. Okay, well now you're at the age of 26, OP. I would say that, it's unlikely that the 12-year-old thing is going to fly for that much longer. So if you really want to go crazy, I would go for... It's not a baby, I'm not pregnant, it's a very, very cancerous tumour and I'm going to die next week. Depends what you want to go with, like how harsh you want to be, how bad you want to make someone else feel. I will say this, the fact that she's actually touched you, a stranger has touched your belly, is actually mental. Like, comments, maybe you expect that once in a while, but actual physical touch from someone you don't know is so mad. But yeah, I'm very, very sad that you suffer with endometriosis. You've said down below, a little bit more context. There's no cure for it. The current gold standard for treatment is laparoscopic excision surgery with an endometriosis specialist. Ugh, sounds tough. But yeah, it's up to you. I'd probably go as harsh as I could, to be honest. I know it's a little bit tough, but do you want to make these people feel really uncomfortable? Yes? Then there's no limit. Mormons need to learn that not everyone can be saved. I am female and live in a predominantly Mormon area of the US. I was a single mother until my son grew up and moved out on his own. I actually grew up and was baptized as Mormon, but I became disillusioned at around 12 years old, and I spent the next 20 years trying to get them to excommunicate me. It didn't work, so I finally resigned. Now, for some reason, the Mormons doubled down on trying to salvage me after I resigned. They sent missionaries to my house, more often than others in the neighborhood. I finally managed to scare the missionaries off for 16 years, I suppose. After 16 years, that's insane. They'd cross to the opposite side of the street that my house is on, at the bottom of my street, and only cross back at the top of the street. Even men I work with are trying to push the issue. The latest one was giving his spiel on the ride into work. I looked at him and I said, "You have worked with me for the past 3 months. Why on earth do you think I would be a part of such a male-dominated religion? I make my own money, I support myself, I supported my child until adulthood, and I don't have to do what anyone says other than the boss. I swear, drink, and I smoke. What about that leads you to believe that I want some man in a suit telling me how to live my life? Now, this dumb idiot actually had the nerve to then try and tell me that the Mormon religion is not male-dominated. I then asked, so women are allowed to hold the priesthood and wear slacks to church now? Not another word was said the rest of the ride into work, and he found a different carpool the next day. The missionaries knocking on my door today reminded me of that conversation. I ignored them and continued cleaning the bathroom until they went away. Now I'm off to plot how to scare them away for 16 years a second time. Oh, I see, so you actually did scare them away for a whole 16 years the first time. Wow. I'm thinking of having a door sign saying that religious peddlers will be sacrificed to the old gods, but also thinking of answering the door and saying, oh, I thought the coven said they didn't have any blood sacrifices available. Come on in. It will just take a few minutes to set up the altar. Oh my goodness me. Now I want to know what you did, OP, to scare these guys off for 16 years, and then after 16 years, why they came back. I mean, to the extent that they were crossing the road to avoid your house. What did you do? There are actually a couple of updates to this one which might enlighten us. The first is this. I decided to go the nice route with getting rid of the missionaries. I called my cousin, the bishop, that helped me get rid of the missionaries the first time this morning, and I let him know that they were becoming a problem once again. He agreed to make the appropriate calls and get me back on the no contact list. I'm very thankful for everyone's suggestions. You're all the best. Thank you all. And update 2. I'm going to spend some time at Thanksgiving dinner at my mother's tomorrow, trying to find out who sent them after me again. If I find out, I'm going to donate $10 in their name, with their address included, to Scientology. Alright, social experiment time, guys. And I do mean this. If you're a Mormon, can you comment down below and just tell me about being a Mormon and why you're a Mormon? If you like it, why other people should be a Mormon. That's it. I don't want to give any more thoughts on this story, but I just want to social experiment. If there are any Mormons watching or listening, comment down below, because I genuinely do want to hear. Well, I don't know. I don't think I've ever interacted with a Mormon before, so I'm just interested in anything. And I will say that people that are trying to convert you again and again and again and again, it's too much. But yeah, I'm interested. Comment down below if you're a Mormon, and we'll have a conversation. Pharmacist judged my meds. I have severe and chronic treatment-resistant depression, and I have for over 30 years. I take 30 mg of an antidepressant, which offers just enough relief that I don't KMS, while my doctors and I continue to look for other, newer, or more effective options. I've been a part of a good amount of clinical trials over the years, and I've more recently tried TMS, ECT, and the full treatment of esketamine to little effect. I called my pharmacy for a refill, and the guy who answered and took my info saw my prescription and said, "You shouldn't be on that much. The limit is 20 mg. I can't send in this request." Now, it is the limit for some diagnoses, but not others, and he doesn't have my diagnosis info, as far as I know. I replied with, "If I only took 20 mg, I'd be dead by now." Cue awkward silence. He stammered, Well, I guess it's between you and your doctor then. I'll just send in that refill request." I just said thanks and hung up. He's not young, he's not new. I've seen him there for a decent amount of time. He should know better, to be honest. Oh, and also, that same med is prescribed for up to 80 mg for another diagnosis. I wonder what he'd do if he saw that prescription, and how many people have had an issue so far. Okay, now this is really bad, because I don't know how it works in different countries, but in the UK, there's I'm sure it's the same in the US as well, but like there's patient like protection, as in only your doctor, I think, is allowed to know what you've been prescribed and sort of, what your issues are. A pharmacist isn't allowed to. The pharmacist obviously knows what to give you and what you've been prescribed. Sorry, of course they do, but they don't know what's wrong with you, what you're suffering with. I don't think. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here. I don't think they're allowed to know. There must be some sort of privacy agreement in every single country. Otherwise, it would just be a bit weird. But yeah, the fact that this person isn't new and has been doing it for ages and is then questioning what medication you're on, that it's too much, even though it's been sent, I presume, from a doctor to them. It's so weird. I mean, usually I think the doctor just sends what you need to the pharmacy, then you go and pick it up, and that's it. No questions. You just say your name and you get what you need. This is mad and very, very, invasive, actually. I'm already diabetic. I used to work at a doctor's office where drug reps would bring us lunch and breakfast fairly often, and sometimes coffee and donuts too. I was the only type 1 diabetic in the office. Sometimes, if I've ridden my bike to work, and OP has chosen to include a bike emoji here just so we know exactly what they're talking about, I would choose to have one of the donuts that the drug reps brought in. I'd check my blood sugar, Google the exact carbohydrate count of the donut, give my insulin, then wait 5 to 10 minutes to eat so my insulin and the sugar would take effect around the same time. But OP, are you allowed to have all that sugar? You've got diabetes, one of the nurses would exclaim. A woman whose desk job did not help her 5'4" self drop enough weight to get off metformin, as she ate her 3 donuts and drank her morning extra large Mountain Dew. I'm allowed. I followed my doctor's orders specifically to have something sugary both before and after an exercise, was my response for several weeks. Finally though, I added, besides, I've already got diabetes. Unlike you, I can't give it to myself. She finally stopped. Well, thankfully, OP, you work in medical care where she can get that burn checked out. And that's all from me today, guys. Really hope you enjoyed that last line especially. That's what I can offer. Okay? And as if you remember the intro, just know that if you're watching this right now and you still haven't subscribed, and especially after I said that unbelievable one-liner that I definitely didn't steal from the Reddit comments, subscribe, guys. Subscribe. And I'll catch you on the next one.